Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm Jessica Abernathy, and with me today is Tricia Montgomery, and you are listening to Pets Our Family. Hi,
Hello, hello,
Tricia. I got an
hello.
itch. It started, and I got an itch. I'm like, sorry.
Nice. I love
I
it.
know. I'm sorry. It just started itching right when we started the camera. I'm so sorry. Hi, how are you doing today?
Let me
Apparently, I
stick
got
something in
itches.
my eyeball so I can talk to you
Yeah.
better. Nice.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Hi, Tricia. How
How's
are
it
you?
going?
It's going good. It was warm. It's warm today, finally. It's weird. It's like we had 2 weeks of butt cold, and now it's like it's going to be 50 here this weekend.
I love that. I love that when in Chicago, all of a sudden it's like cold and then it gets like spring-like and you're like, and then Mother Nature's like, psych, gonna come back with like
No,
10 below
no,
zero.
no. It's been in the 50s. It's been in. I mean, like our summer
You're
plants are coming.
February. You are February. It is going to come and hit you like no tomorrow. It is going to come and grab you and knock you down. I know
I
Chicago weather. You got
I
another
do
bad one
too.
coming.
I know we
You
do,
got
but I'm
another
telling
one
you,
coming, my friend. For sure, for sure.
yeah.
So today I am just like I cannot wait to bring this person on. Her name is Lauren Smith Kennedy. Is with an organization called the Tilly Project, and I really had the beautiful fortune of meeting her at VMX, and she was
I
there.
know.
She had this incredible board where she wrote everyone's names, or everybody wrote their names down of their pets, and I mean, it was just she is a light, such a light. They do photography for end of life or anticipatory grief, and she's just what she has done in such a relatively short period of time is nothing short of outstanding. Yeah, the Tilly Project. Let's bring her on.
I'll go get her. Hold on.
We are so incredibly honored to have with us today Lauren Smith Kennedy. Lauren, I had heard about you forever, and I got a chance to meet you in person and spend some time with you, although not enough at VMX. Lauren is with the Tilly Project, and it is just an incredible organization. And Lauren, talk to us about the Tilly Project. What is it?
Well, thank you so much for having me today. It's a privilege and an honor to be here. And I loved meeting you at VMX. It was a great time to connect. And yes, we both were extremely busy, just sharing our mission and everything. So I'm really glad that we've been able to, spend a bit more time getting to know each other and everything. So thank you for having me here. So, yeah, I am the founder and director of the Tilly Project, an international nonprofit that focuses on end of life pet photography as well as resources for families. So, we have a directory of over 19,000 photographers across the world who offer this end of life pet photography.
And,
Additionally, we also have resources online. We have a really supportive Facebook group that has about 12,000 individuals in it. And it's just a really supportive community and intentional space to come together and to be very supportive of each other.
and you mentioned international. You are internationally. Is that international? Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. We actually just had someone from Switzerland join earlier this week, which was always mind blowing to be able to see that come through, to see folks from all across the world joining us.
Wow.
What?
That's crazy.
Absolutely. I know. It's really hard for me to wrap my mind around. I mean, we've only been around for, I think, just about 2 years. And the fact that we have, just grown in such a short period of time, I think it really speaks to the need for these resources and for, just to have that supportive community, have photography as an option for pet families when they're nearing the end with their pets.
I was going to ask you, Lauren, why do you think the Tilly Project has resonated so much? Because you've really, I mean, in 2 years, you have in, you have impacted so many lives, and you've just it, people know about you. Um, What makes you, do you think that that's happening? Why is that happening?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really great question. Something that I speak about frequently is, and hear me out on this. It's going to be a little bit of a long answer to this question, but I think it'll make sense. When we adopt animals into our families, let's say we get a kitten or a puppy, there's this period of time when we first get them where we give them so much patience and we give them all of our love and we celebrate them at this young age. And then they grow up, and let's say that they are 16 years old. You have a 16-year-old dog who is at the end stages of their lives. I think that this photography has become so highly requested and so well known, and something that folks seek out because it is also celebrating them when they're in their older stages of lives in the same way, or maybe not the same way, but with that amount of respect and with love and with honoring them towards the end stages of their lives, like we do when they're puppies or kittens. So I think it's just, and it also just validates that anticipatory grief, that it is coming to the epitome of that relationship and that love, and it's capturing those final moments and saying this love was here, it existed, and it was incredibly beautiful and is incredibly beautiful and will be everlasting.
Oh, my goodness. Lauren, how did this get started? That it started with a story about you and your own loss, is that right?
It was named after my cat Tilly, who passed away. It was a very freak accident. She was only 4 years old when she passed away, and I'll spare the details on it, but it was an entirely freak accident. She passed away right in front of me. So it's named after her. It's a way for me to say her name often, and it's a way for me to celebrate the love, that she really showed me. And now I'm photographing in other families. But it really started. I'm an animal person. I get a lot of questions kind of thrown at me, and one day I had a Facebook friend reach out to me saying that her friend was about to put down their dog, who's only, I believe, 3 or 4 years old, who had a terminal cancer. And her name was Lacey. And they were asking about where they could get an urn for her. The dog hadn't yet passed, but just, getting ready for that whole process. And I said I wasn't quite sure. I'd have to look into that, but I just threw it out there, just saying, I do photography. Please let the family know that if they want any photos before the dog passes, I would be honored to do so, and I wouldn't charge them anything because they had been spending money on the dog's treatment and everything. And I ended up doing that. And again, it just kind of happened from me just saying, hey, I would do this. Did the photos, had this bittersweet, it was both beautiful and, of course, very tragic experience with Lacey and her family. And towards the end of it, I just asked, these are some really, I think they're going to be really moving and beautiful images, and a testament to that love that you share with Lacey. Would you be okay if I, shared the photos? They agreed to it, and I ended up sharing it, and it just overnight took off. It was that first session, and the next day I had another session all lined up with a dear friend who was taking his dog to one last walk on the beach, Brody, who he had his Brody's entire life. So it went from like 0 to 100. It went from me just sharing, this video, something I had never really put out there, and then just saw the response, and it just continued to grow until it got to this point where I wasn't able to do all of this on my own. I was one photographer. I had folks flying in from places to have, these sessions, and traveling to me or offering to fly me places. And I just wasn't able to do that. And so I started writing down the names of other photographers who are in different areas who said, hey, I would love to offer this, keep my name. And this little tiny note card soon grew into a whole list. And, like I said, now we have over 1,900 photographers across the world who offer this. So it's just, I think it is so incredibly needed. And families who have this service are very grateful for that opportunity and that experience.
it's kind of, I just want to bring this to, we had a lovely lady on a couple podcasts ago, about a month and a half ago, Dr. Nancy, who talked about making deposits into our bank for our animals, that so we have our memories. And this is a deposit that you're giving us. You know what I mean? You're giving us this a love deposit, so that way we have a great memory of our animals before they leave. You know what I mean? And it's so awesome that you guys are doing this, and the 1900 people that are on your list that are doing this for people. It's amazing that you guys are doing this.
Thank you so much. And I just want to share that it's not for everyone. Um, but of course it's not, because grief itself is so incredibly individualized. So we have plenty of folks who, will comment and say, like, I could never do this. I only want to remember my pet in the happy days. And to that, I say, I'm so glad that you recognize what works for you and your grief. And I'm so, I think it's wonderful that folks can also realize that, and just identifying that, this service has helped so many families, and also it's not for everyone, and that's okay too. So I'm grateful to be able to offer it to those who want to take advantage of it, for sure.
I love how you
Right.
talk about how it can really help. How in other words can it in other ways can the photography help? And what are the things do you offer the Tilly Project to help with this process?
Yeah, I think the photography really helps because, a big part of this type of photography is that anticipatory grief. And that's something that I think I have many folks say, I've never heard of that. And that makes so much sense, that they haven't passed yet, but it's the moments leading up. So I think that this photography can really aid in that, and aid in that validation with anticipatory grief, and then the grief after the pet has passed away. It just aids in it just memorializes them in the same way that with humans, we write obituaries. We say, here is their life, and putting it out there. I think sometimes this photography can really do something similar for pet families. It captures that love and allows them to share it. And then also on the Tilly Project, we do have other resources. We have a page that is dedicated to ways to memorialize your animal. We have pet loss professionals. We have photography resources. I mean, that has its own thing, where let's say you don't want to have a professional photographer come in and capture these moments because they're really vulnerable. This is a really vulnerable time. I also have
Mm.
resources on there that puts the skills in anyone's hands. Anyone with a phone can do their own photos, because making it accessible is so incredibly important. If folks aren't, let's say there are no photographers in their area that maybe offer it, because we're only 2 years old, we're still expanding, and some of the rural areas don't necessarily, within like a 30-mile radius, maybe that's as far as you can travel. Maybe it just doesn't work out that you can find someone, or again, you don't want that. Let's give the resources, let's give tips and about posing and all of that, so you can do it yourself, or you can have a trusted friend or family member do it for you just on your cell phone. So that's another huge component of the
Yeah.
Tilly Project, is just offering accessibility is huge for me. I believe that photography should be for everyone, and these resources should be for everyone. So that's another really big part of the Tilly Project, and something that's really important to me.
Yeah, I remember. I kind of fell. I fell in love with you. Fell in love when we were talking about the accessibility, and right now, within really in the veterinary profession and animal welfare, there is a push and a need right now to access to care and accessibility and
Yes.
diversity and inclusion and all these different things. And I think that oftentimes they are overlooked within those underserved areas or resourced areas. And I love how on your website that you've put those resources. Hey, here's what you can do on your own. Here's what you can do. I also want to talk about something that just gave me chills up and down my arms and just literally brought tears to my eyes. At the conference, you put up a beautiful, massive white poster with a board And it allowed every attendee who came by your booth to recognize and memorialize their pet.
Yes.
I put Moose's name up there, and you saved me a spot because the whole board was covered. What did people think when they saw that, Lauren? Just so touched and moved by that.
Yeah, I had this idea that if I ever attended a conference or a place where there was going to be, people coming by and everything, I always wanted to do something like that. And when I was actually able to have it come true and to do this at VMX, my first time ever doing it, it was incredibly moving. I mean, we had so many folks coming up, sharing stories, talking about their loss, talking about being able to have an intentional space to really put these names down and to just take a moment and think about. I mean, this was a veterinary, conference, so you have animal lovers there, you have animal families there, and you have these professionals who do this every single day and deal with so much loss. So I think it was just a moment to just reflect on all of that, to not only reflect on their career and how they've helped families, but to be able to reflect on their own animals who are probably the reason, or one of the reasons that they continue to do what they do, and to just be able to honor that love. So it's incredibly moving. I mean, at the end of the first day, I'm sure you saw, there were already a ton of names. Probably by the second day, it was pretty filled up. And by, the end of it, I mean, it was entirely, there was no room left. So
No.
it was just incredible to be able to make that happen, and to see the reaction and to hear the stories and to honor those animals.
Yeah. I want to ask you about the veterinary profession, and I love how you referenced, them and the reason why it was, part of your mission to be at the veterinary conference, to be at VMX in Orlando. Talk to me about the impact that veterinarians could have on the Tilly Project. How would that further impact the Tilly Project?
Absolutely. So the reason for me really wanting to go to the Tilly Project and making that happen, which we couldn't have done it without our booth sponsor, Youth of Vet. They're incredible. And they, I mean, in grief as well, they're making a huge impact towards the veterinary community and everything.
Right.
So one of the main missions of me being there was to connect with these, veterinary staff, support staff, veterinarians, the whole team, of professionals. Was I wanted to put the resource of the Tilly Project and the resources that the Tilly Project offers into their hands, so that when they were dealing, or coming up when they're dealing with families who have an animal who has received a terminal diagnosis, or they're getting to the end stages of their lives, they would be able to say, here are some resources to be able to provide that for these families who some veterinarians and, support staff have been seeing for years. Vet techs, they've been seeing these families for years and years. So how can they aid those families with, that journey with anticipatory and grief?
That so moving, so incredibly moving, and veterinary technicians and veterinarians are often overlooked in their own grief because, well, you're a veterinarian, so it's okay. And so to touch those, and within our chosen profession, it's really, I find it beautifully and so touching.
I'm going to interrupt you before
You do.
you go on. I'm just going to interrupt you.
Go on now.
Go for
Go
it.
ahead and
I
interrupt.
am.
Won't be your first and
Well,
won't be your last.
nope. And Lever's going to yell at us for doing that again. You know how he is. But you are so veterinarian, that's your world. But at the same time, I want to bring up the fact that, because I am not in the veterinarian world, because we come from two different worlds, Trish and I do, but we're both in the industry. But because I come from the pet sitting side, you know what I mean? So, and that's a side that always gets forgotten. You know what I mean? Because we are with the animals 24/7. We're always with them. We're in the house every day with them, and we are forgotten. And that's an industry that needs to be in front of you for the one fact is I just wrote down like 4 organizations that I need to get in front of you, and I'm on the board of one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you've got to realize that, I mean, I have over 2,000 clients in my database myself that I
Mm,
have been in front of their animals. I have personally in the last 20 some odd years had to help a homeowner or owners of their of animals put them down because they couldn't do it themselves. You know what I mean? So I've had to do it for the owners because they couldn't go into the vet office, and they emotionally just couldn't do it. You
mhm,
know what I mean? And you are the right person to be able to say, for me to be like, I've referred out like laps of love. I've referred
Yeah.
veterinarians that could come to the house, you know what I
mm,
mean? But you are like the perfect person for us because we're constantly in the homes. We're referrals, constantly
absolutely.
doing that.
Yeah.
And we're like the forgotten profession. You know what I mean? So, and we really are, you know, because everybody doesn't think about us, you know what I mean? But we're
Absolutely.
in homes all the time.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? And we have burnout worse than anybody. You know what I mean? So, but that is something that as you two are talking about it, I'm like, oh, I have like 4 different board people I need to introduce you to, because you've got another plethora of pet parents that you can get in front of, because it's perfect for that, you know, and it's amazing what you're doing.
Yeah, I'd say, because the Tilly Project, like I said, it's only been around for 2 years or so. And after attending VMX, we started out as a smaller organization with this goal, and then I attended VMX, and I heard some feedback from the veterinary staff and support staff, and the attendees, and heard that they felt like they were, there could be an expansion of resources and aid for that audience. And so one of the first things that I did when I got back from VMX was to have to sponsor a group, a free group for the veterinary community, and want to expand on that. And now in hearing you, share that there's this whole other audience and a group of professionals that could also, I mean, that's what it is, is just got to come together and to make, aware of these different audiences that could really benefit from resource. And how do you do so in a way that really caters to them and is an experience, that it's for them. So yeah, I'm really looking forward. I'd love to chat with you and whoever else about that and see what we can collaborate on for sure. Because whatever we
It's just, yeah, it's just another resource that makes sure that the pet parents, it's more for me, it's more making sure that the pet parents honor their pets, you know what I
absolutely.
mean, into the best way that they can, or grieve the way that they can, so that way they remember Fluffy, because I always say Fluffy, but
Yeah.
Fluffy is honored the best way Fluffy can be honored, you know?
Yeah. And sometimes
That
it
is
can be
not.
tough to navigate those when you have someone who comes to you and is saying, that their animal is coming to the end stages of their lives. Sometimes personally, there's only so many, saying like, I'm here for you, let me know whatever I can do.
Yeah.
That can only go
Yeah.
so far. And sometimes I think it's really, it's wonderful if the person, it feels appropriate and they're receptive and everything, because you got to navigate that as well, and you're going to know these families extremely well.
Yep.
um, if it feels right and everything, giving them that
Yep.
resource, and it's something that can be, it
It's
to
another resource.
it's
It
another
is.
resource, and it's another thing to say, and it kind of empowers them and gives them control in a time that you feel entirely powerless. So I think
Yep.
that
Yeah.
that is extremely beneficial to these families.
Agreed.
Hmm.
Lauren, what is how does the process work? And is there a cost involved, or how does that work? How does the Tilly Project work?
Yeah, definitely. So if you have a family, let's say you're a family and you have a cat who just received a terminal diagnosis, and you feel as if you would really like to have a photographer come in and capture some memories, you would just go into the tillyproject.org, and you would enter where you live. You would find whatever state or wherever you are. It would bring up an entire list of photographers in your state. Let's say I'm in Maine, so I would click Maine and it would bring up a whole list of photographers in Maine. And you would go ahead and contact them. As far as cost goes, this is something I always like to make note of. The Tilly Project welcomes all photographers of all skill levels, all backgrounds. We welcome photographers who charge because it's their business and that's, what they have to do. We welcome photographers who discount that service, and we offer photographers who like to, that's how they donate their time, that's how they give back. So we welcome, and then, like I said, we welcome all different skill levels. Our one requirement is just that our photographers have a portfolio already established. It can be free portfolio, just some way that pet families are able to look at the photos before contacting, so it takes that emotional labor out of it as well.
Yeah. Gosh, Lauren. Wow, wow, wow. I love what you're doing, and I'm so happy that we had a chance to meet at VMX. And I remember coming back to Jessica and saying, "Oh my goodness, this is somebody Pets or Family is all about pet parents, but we have such a mixture of audience from, pet sitters to veterinarians to veterinary technicians, and how important this is." Jessica, do you have any more questions? Anything else you want to insert? Yeah.
You didn't tell me she was from Maine, though.
We're not going to go there, Jessica. We're
I
not
know.
going to
I
go
just
there.
forgot to tell me that.
That's a good
My
thing.
my
Her people
mom's
are
from
different than
Maine.
your people, Lauren.
Yeah,
Oh,
my mother's from Maine,
yeah.
so it's just cute when she said that. I was like, oh, there you go. That's
I
cool.
probably
Maine's
know
cute.
her. If she's in Maine, we probably run into each other down at, the grocery store or something. The
Yep.
chances are very high.
We're probably related, honestly. I
Yeah,
mean,
you know what?
we probably are somehow or some way. We're probably related.
Oh my
Absolutely,
God.
absolutely.
Lauren, how do people get a hold of you if they want a question, if they want to contact you? How can they get in touch with you?
Sure. You can either email the tillyproject@gmail.com, or I have my own website because I do end of life pet photography as well. So it's just laurensmithkennedy.com. I have a contact form right on there. So either way, I'm on Instagram and Facebook personally and as the Tilly Project. So any of those ways are a wonderful way to get in touch with me and to be able to see other photographers and to, see their work and everything.
Lauren, you were just such a pleasure to have on. We so enjoyed having you. You can spend your time with anyone and you spend it with us. And so for that, we thank you. Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It was an honor to be here and, just so special. So thank you so much.
Well, that was an interview. I mean, she's lovely, first of all, cute as a button, second of all. And the fact that she's got like 1,900 photographers in 2 years, girlfriend, somebody needs to hire her for membership. I mean, talk
absolutely. But I
right?
think it's a testament to the need of her services and what she's doing, because that just caught overnight. And if you've ever been to her Instagram or seen the photographs, they're beautiful. They're absolutely
It's a passion
beautiful.
project.
And
It's a passion.
It represents the beauty of who she is and how this came to be and the people that surround her. Just such an honor. And I asked her at the podcast about that board that she did. There were people, I thought we were busy at Moose's March. There were people lined up like 4 or 5 back to sign this board poster for memorialization of their pets. And I just was, it was so touching and so beautiful. And Jessica, imagine having whose name up there?
I know. I was thinking that while she was talking about it. I'm like, can you see me writing Bin Laden? I mean, we talk about that all the time. We talk about that all the time. Yeah, we're gonna get the FBI is gonna come and get us because of the name. They would be like, who wrote that?
They're gonna come get you. Maybe me by extension. Who knows? But I am just she was phenomenal, and just even like in conversation, how we reach out and how we're like, we can connect you here. I want to connect you here. I want to do, and how, what I love
Giving.
is the beauty of how we all get to come together. And
Yeah.
that's something that's absolutely outstanding.
She's giving. She just wants to give. It's a giving heart. She has a truly giving heart. She wants to give. And that's, I mean, and you are drawn, and I don't mean just you, but you know, I mean, us as humans, you're drawn to people that have a giving heart. She's got that givingness, you know, and she just wants to, you know, she wants people to give.
For and not from. She wants for
Yeah.
and not from, and I love that. I love that. I hope that someday that we can have her on again, and I'd love for her to be involved in a webinar. I think there's like many ways that we can all work together, but she's just absolutely lovely. I'm going to ask her to send a copy of the poster so we can have our viewers and listeners see that, because it's such a beautiful representation. And I just pulled out her card, and some beautiful black and white photography here, and QR code. I'll send that to you, Jessica. And Justin, can you put this out there? But just
Justin.
yeah, just something that I think is so important and so beautiful. And yeah.
Who's that in the background? Look at that.
Mr. Jack Attack. This is who I was mentioning in my last podcast. I am Jack's official doggy sitter. And a shout out to Shannon. And she is away, but Shannon is absolutely lovely and a beautiful friend of mine. And my next door neighbor, Shannon's been away, so I'm actually watching Jack during the daytime. So he's pretty excited that he's here, and somebody rang the doorbell. So we're going to have to go soon and find out who's at the doorbell. So
that's okay. If you didn't catch it, my earbud just fell out and rolled across the floor. I was just like, well, we're human. I was like,
we definitely are. We definitely are. Come here, Jack. You want to say hi? Come on, let's be on the podcast.
Talk about the end of the day, right?
It's the end of the day. So this, guys, is Jack. If you can see. Oh, hello.
Oh, well, there you go. There's some kisses for an end of day.
I love this dog. He is absolutely the best dog in the entire wide world. Aren't you? Are you so good? You are. I love you.
Well, Jack knows how to make you family.
He does. He does. Speaking of how I'm going to make him, I got to get him outside here. So, guys, thank you all for being with us. Jessica, I love you. Hearts to you. And yeah, big love.
All right. And we'll say goodbye to all our viewers. We'll see you next week. And Tricia, thanks. Tilly Project, great call. Love that one. Great. And we'll see everybody next week. Talk to you later. Bye, everyone. Thanks for listening to Pets Are Family. You can find us on all the channels now. Yes, all of the channels now. So make sure you share us with your friends, your families, and your coworkers, and anybody that has a pet. Make sure you like us, give us your feedback, tell us if anything that you want us to talk about, all that fun stuff. You can reach me at jessica@petsourfamily.net or Tricia@petsourfamily.net. Thank you for everything that you guys do, but make sure you like us, subscribe, check us out on YouTube. You can always see what we're up to. And we want to thank all of our sponsors, all of the people that support us. We love every one of you, and we can't thank you enough. And remember, check out Moose's March, moosesmarch.com. moosesmarch.com. Come check us out. Talk to you guys soon. We'll see you next week. Bye.